Michael Kaskey-Blomain, tomorrow when we're on the show, what do you think we're talking about in regards to Ben Simmons? What do you think the story will be tomorrow?
I think we're just going to be talking about our excitement level over him. We've been obviously waiting for over a year now just to see him out in an actual competitive game in a Sixers jersey. And, based off everything that we've seen from him since he's been drafted from the team, being, Summer League last year, training camp, the blue-white scrimmage at the Palestra last Sunday, he just looks ready to go. He looks matured. He looks bigger, stronger, faster than he was a year ago. I'll be curious to see how his shot is looking in real time. But, other than that, I think we're just going to be talking about a guy that we have a lot to be excited about.
Tell us a little bit about the blue and white from Ben Simmons' point of view. How did he look? I mean, what stood out from that scrimmage? You were there.
Yeah, man, he really just looked, as I kind of just touched on, physically, he just honestly looked really mature. I think it looks like he's grown, obviously muscle-wise, but height-wise, too. It looks like he's tall and thick and just big, and he looks ready to, take the wear and tear that comes with an NBA season better so than, other rookies, better than he would have a year ago. And he just looked like a monster, especially in the open court and on the break. I tweeted out that he looked kind of like a young LeBron James on the fast break, just, the speed and the size coming at you combined with the decision-making ability, his passing skills. He's just, he's difficult to stop in the open, and I think that's going to lead to a ton of opportunities for the Sixers to run.
Mike, I want to talk about Markelle Fultz, and there's been a lot made about his shot in the last couple of days. Can you just tell me what you've seen from him as far as his shot, and is everything going to be good mechanically come the season?
What's up, Deshaun? That's definitely a huge question. I feel like kind of looming over Markelle right now. He kind of went back into the lab this summer on his own and retooled his foul shot. He lowered the release point to where he's almost releasing it just kind of a little bit above his hip, which was a pretty drastic change from a higher release point he had at Washington. It didn't look great. Brett Brown said that the team is actively kind of tweaking with it. So, I wouldn't say it's a concern. I'd be interested, especially tonight and going forward in the preseason, to see where he is at with his shot mentally. I think that's probably the most important thing, is if he feels confident and comfortable, pulling up in transition for, a pull-up jumper or, just taking it to the rack knowing that he might draw a foul and have to go to the line. I think the mental part will be the most important aspect. I think the mechanics of it will come. But as of right now, it still seems to be kind of a work in progress.
So what is going to be his role on this team? Because you have Embiid, you have Simmons, you have the new additions with Redick and Sarge coming back and Covington, etc. What is Markelle Fultz's role on this basketball team?
I think it's dynamic, Deshaun. I think it's something that will kind of play out over time throughout the course of, the preseason and once the season gets rolling. And we kind of see how all these guys fit together. I mean, we have both him and Ben making, their pro debuts tonight in kind of an unprecedented situation with back-to-back number ones debuting for the same team on the same night. I think right now he kind of projects as a secondary ball handler to Ben and a guy that will be looked to for a lot of perimeter offense. We're talking about, obviously, Joel will be, when he's in there and hopefully healthy, will be a guy that will be a focal point of the offense, and Markelle will kind of be able to balance that out as far as what he's able to bring offensively on the perimeter. And obviously the stretches where Ben isn't on the floor, Markelle will serve as the team's primary point guard when he's on there. So I think his role will be multifaceted and something that will evolve over the course of the season. So what we see from him tonight could be, pretty far from what he will be actually doing come, February and March.
So, Mike, I want to get back to Simmons and talk about his jump shot. I haven't seen a lot of them, of how it's looking, but you are there more than I am. Defenses are going to lag off of Simmons, Mike. Is he going to be able to knock down that 15, little jump shot mid-range as far as that range?
That's definitely the biggest question with his game, I think, going into this season, and what could really separate him from, a good year to a great year. It's something that he's definitely worked on. I will say at the blue-white scrimmage on Sunday, there was a few situations in transition where he pulled up from, foul line extended area for that mid-range pull-up, and he did not connect. It looked sort of similar to how he shot at LSU, kind of fading back a little bit. So it'll definitely be interesting. As you said, Deshaun, defenses are definitely going to, fade off of him and challenge him to take that shot and make it. He definitely seems more willing at this point to try to take it to the rack and finish, right around the rim or dish it out to, one of the jump shooters the team has. But I think that will definitely be a focus that he's going to work on. And if he's able to, get that in his repertoire consistently, I think that'll take his game, from potentially good to potentially great.
Michael Kaskey-Blomain is with us here at the Wells Fargo Center for tonight's Sixers preseason opener at The Real Mike KB on Twitter. Give us your take and what you know and your feel for Embiid. They said he's not going to play the first 2 games, but are they just putting the breadcrumbs down the path here? I mean, is he going to play it all in the preseason? Do you think he's even going to play opening night?
Yeah, if I had to guess, I don't think we'll see him in the preseason. I don't know anything further than tonight and Friday night, which he's been ruled out for already. But just based off, the team's approach in the past and how things seem to be going. Joel himself said at Media Day that he expects to be good to go for opening night in 2 weeks. He was non-committal about the preseason then, which kind of, tipped me off that maybe we would not be seeing him, for the duration of the preseason. I think that really the team's priority at this point is just getting him, all good to go to whatever extent they can to start the regular season. You would think that maybe getting him in for a little bit of a run in a preseason game to get him kind of warmed up since he hasn't played since March would be, wouldn't be a bad idea, but I don't think that's a priority for the team right now. So I would expect to see him out there on opening night, but not before that.
Have you seen him do anything at practice? I know there's been some reports that he's done half-court 5-on-5, but any more than that?
That's the cap of what he's done so far. As I know, he was able to do those half-court 5-on-5 this past week, which was progress from where he was a week ago at Media Day when he hadn't done any sort of 5-on-5 yet. He has not been cleared for full 5-on-5 yet, as far as I know. But I believe that should probably be coming in the next week or so leading up to the regular season.
How about J.J. Redick in terms of his role minutes-wise? What is he a starter? Do you think they bring him off the bench? What are you seeing from Redick?
Yeah, I mean, I see Redick as a starter, absolutely. Tonight and once the regular season starts, I think he'll be, permanently penciled in that starting shooting guard spot. I think his job this season will be to take a lot of the pressure off of, the ball handler, Ben Simmons in most situations, or Markelle, by just having a reliable veteran presence and a guy that can, space the floor as good as anyone in the league right next to, Ben or Markelle, I think will work to make their job easier. So I think, as JJ knew when he signed here, his role kind of this year will be more, kind of dual faceted, as in, he'll be looked to score and space the floor for the team, and also be looked to kind of, ease the transition into the pros here for a couple guys in Ben and Markelle that the Sixers are, banking on to really develop into guys that can lead this team. And I think JJ is a good fit of a player to play off alongside those guys. So, I think he'll be a starter. I wouldn't expect for him to play too much tonight, maybe in the low 20s. But in general, I think he'll be a 30-minute per game player for the Sixers this season.
We've talked ad nauseum about the starting lineup and Simmons and Fultz, but let's look at that second lineup, because if you want to be good in the NBA, you have to have a bench. You look at the Sixers bench, you look like a guy at Jared Bayless and Dario Saric. Can they be a dynamic duo off the Sixer bench? And if Jahlil Okafor can give you anything, can we be looking at a team that is pretty complete here?
I think so, Deshaun. I think the Sixers are, extremely deep. Maybe I'm a little biased in comparison to recent years, but they just feel like they're a complete team for the first time in a while. I'm really excited to see what Dario brings off the bench. After what he was able to do in the starting role last season after Ersan was traded to Atlanta, he really kind of expanded his game. And in the blue-white scrimmage this past weekend, his shot from long range looked a little bit improved. It looked like he got, a little bit arc underneath it. He had left it short sometimes, during the season. It looked like that was something he worked on. So, I'm really excited to see what he can bring in sort of a reserve role against some of the other, backups across the league. And Jared Bayless, who you mentioned, is another guy that I'm really excited. I was excited about his addition last year to see what he could bring to the team. Obviously, we didn't get to see very much of him at all with the wrist injury. I feel like he's kind of not necessarily a forgotten about guy by the Sixers fan base, but kind of just a question mark as to what he's going to bring. But in his day before coming to Philly, he was a guy that could really be a dynamic scorer and a creator and a pretty quick and explosive offensive player. So I think him and Dario and Rashawn Holmes, another guy that I'm real excited about this season. Rashawn will actually start tonight in place of Joel at that center spot. So, I think there is a lot of depth on this team and a lot of guys up and down the roster that could have, kind of breakout seasons, if you will.
All right. The preseason begins tonight, coming up in about an hour and 20 minutes. Michael Kaskey-Blomain is there to check it all out. And obviously we'll be checking in on this game tomorrow as we'll get to see Ben Simmons for the first time in an NBA game. We've seen him in Summer League. He graduates to preseason tonight. And 97.3 ESPN, your home for Sixers basketball. All right, MKB, take care, pal.
All right, guys. Good talking to you. Thank you.